The clang of the prayer bell jerked me awake. Elder Grimby's voice thundered outside. Sinners denied discipline. My collar buzzed hot against my throat. Punishment for moving too slow. I staggered outside. Clara locked eyes with me. Her face was still, but her fingers trembled against her apron. Was it a warning or a plea? Nights behind the grain silo with Vincent flashed in my mind, his touch forbidden. My chest tightened. Grimby was watching. I bowed my head and whispered, "Forgive me, but I didn't mean it." That night, Clara brought extra blankets to the women's quarters. She didn't speak, but her eyes held something fragile: sympathy, regret. I clutched the shock collar's remote I had stolen from the supply shed. Just holding it made me feel powerful. Vincent had said, "We need one shot to run." My mother once told me faith meant obedience, but I had only found fear. Clara brushed my shoulder as she passed. A whisper: "Tomorrow midnight." My fingers curled tighter around the remote. This was rebellion. We crept past the chapel's rear fence. Vincent ahead, moonlight slicing through trees. My collar blinked red. A trap suddenly. Sirens community alert. I froze. Clara was supposed to disable the perimeter. Vincent yanked my hand, but too late. Grimby stepped from the shadows. Ungodly filth. He spat, holding the master control. My heart pounded. Clara lied. The collar sizzled. I screamed. Collapsing, Vincent shouted, "Run," but I couldn't move. Back in the punishment barn, wrists chained to the beam, I saw Vincent's blood on the floor. Grimby's sermon blared through speakers. "Pain purifies." I sobbed, body shaking. "Weak," he hissed. A door creaked. Clara entered, tray in hand. Her eyes flicked to mine. "She needs cleansing," Grimby snapped. Clara nodded, then slipped a key beneath the bread. My breath itched. Red herring or rescue? She turned silently and left. That night, I faked a seizure. Grimby rushed in. I clutched the hidden key. When he leaned close, I jabbed the collar remote into his ribs. Shock surged. He screamed, dropping to his knees. I ran, wrists bleeding. Behind the grain silo, I found Vincent, barely conscious. "We go," I whispered. He nodded suddenly. Clara emerged from shadows. "Take the east gate," she said, tossing me her head badge. Out the gate loomed. Vincent sagged against me. Clara keyed the lock, but alarms blared again. Grimby staggered from the woods, half shocked but furious. "You'll burn for this," he roared. Clara stepped forward, hand raised. "You abused your power, Nathaniel." "I'm done hiding." Guards arrived, confused, hesitant. Clara flashed her badge. Medical lead. "Stand down." One by one, they lowered their rifles. Vincent squeezed my hand. Freedom was one breath away. We made it past the gates. Police lights shimmered in the distance. Clara had tipped them off. Grimby was cuffed, face twisted with rage. "You lied," he hissed. "No," Clara said. "You did." Vincent collapsed beside me, sobbing. I held him close. For once, no collar burned. Just wind, just sky. My mother was wrong. Faith was in fear. Weeks later, I stood outside a small farmhouse with Vincent, watching sunrise. Clara lived there now, away from the compound. "You saved us," I told her. She just smiled. The scar on my neck was healing, but the fire inside me was new. "You're free now," Clara said. I believed her this time. I believed everything. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe to check out more stories on my channel.